Hi everyone, welcome back to our monthly Q&A. This next question that I'm going to address that I get asked a lot in practice, it's kind of a bigger topic, so this may end up being multiple installments. But I'm going to start off here. The question is that I get from parents is, can I treat my child primarily with a good diet? So we're talking about neurodivergent children who, may have challenges with regulation, with sleep, with focus, learning, language development, multiple things. So I get asked the question, can I treat solely focusing on diet, or do I absolutely need the supplements? So again, big topic. First part of that answer is, of course, it's going to depend on your child. It's going to depend on the severity of their symptoms and how quickly you want to see results, of course, how urgent these symptoms are. Because when there are some really challenging health patterns that you see, that I see, we want to go at them more aggressively or with higher doses of things. And so the natural approach, yes, diet has a lot to do with how well we are and how healthy we are and how well our children develop. And it can absolutely help with, let's say you're diving into a hypoallergenic diet or an anti-inflammatory diet, you would be, likely cutting out things that are fueling the fire in your child's body. So that's a big important step. What I see in practice is that by the time parents have come to me, they've kind of been in that state of I've tried everything, and including diet. And so, and the challenges are just so complex that more is needed. Now, again, I'm not saying that the diet is not important, but often there's more to it than that. I find that I see there's a lot of issues with absorption, a lot of issues with motility in the gut, with just overall function and ability for the gut to actually process through, break down foods, extract nutrients, and absorb them well. There's a lot of obstacles, or there can be a lot of obstacles standing in the way. And so if we never go to supplements, and if you're that family who you can do the diets as well, and everything goes well, that's great. But I'd say that the majority of the families I see are not those families. The other thing we have to take into account is how challenging the diets can be. So it might be as simple as cutting out a few things from the diet. Maybe it's the big ones like gluten, dairy, maybe eggs, soy, corn. These are kind of the large, more common food sensitivities if we're going that route. And that, if that's all it takes, and you as a family are able to do that, that's fantastic. And you're probably not coming to see me, or you're just checking in to make sure there isn't something else we could just be adding in for the sake of it, just to optimize your child's health. And that's perfectly fine. But where the majority of my practice lies in terms of the families are typically overwhelmed. Diets, again, very important, especially when you're, designing and figuring out how to create a diet that's unique for your child and really tailored to your child's needs. The diet can be very challenging, right? And the reality is that families are really busy, and you have, parents have careers and jobs and have to pay the bills and maybe don't have a lot of help. And maybe, in fact, have the opposite and have people helping, but they don't believe in dietary interventions. And so the child's getting, the chocolate chip muffins and the cookies and the treats on the side. So I see a lot of these challenges in practice too. So for the most part, when we're talking about biomedical support, this is the beauty of natural biomedical support, that what we're doing with supplements is taking what you should and could be getting from your diet, yet using those nutrients in therapeutic doses, so higher doses. You take, for instance, a really powerful therapy for autism and other things is B12 injections. Well, that amount of B12, yes, you might be able to get that in a food, but are you going to eat that food every day, multiple times a day? Are you absorbing it well, or is your child absorbing it well? So to do a supplement or a therapy with a nutrient, whether that's a supplement or a different type of therapy like an injection, means that you're just kind of getting a direct route into the system, a more direct route. You're bypassing obstacles, but you're also, we're also able to do these nutrients and provide these nutrients in higher doses, which is very often very much needed for the kids that I see. And this is whether we're talking about autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, PANDAS, Down syndrome, anything on, even seizure disorders, FAS, anything that sort of lands in that neurodivergence arena. Yeah, we can definitely do a lot more with supplements. So again, if you're a family who you're like, we're diet all the way and we can do it, and you can do things like those harder diets out there, like the GAPS diet or the SCD or low FODMAPs or whatever it might be, fantastic. And if that's all you need for your child to be successfully developing and avoiding their challenges and managing challenges that they've had in the past, that's fantastic. And I'm always happy to advise families when that's the situation. And I'm also happy to advise when those things don't work or are not possible, maybe not right now, or you need to modify it and you need time and you need to kind of go one thing at a time. Okay, this month let's tackle dairy, next month let's tackle gluten. But in the meantime, are there even supplements, and there are, that can help the child's body break those things down so that they're less allergenic? And so, of course, I've kind of mentioned diets in the sense that, of course, we're talking food sensitivities, but not just food sensitivities. What if your child has very highly restrictive eating, and it's actually diagnosable as a restrictive eating disorder? This means that they're not going to eat nutrient-dense foods. Not at this point. There's something else standing in the way that we have to address. And so that's often where sometimes even medications, but often supplements that are very, very much required come into play. So think about, if you went to your medical doctor, your conventional medical doctor, and said, okay, your child's not pooping, not sleeping, they have high anxiety, maybe depression, mood disorders, can't regulate. I mean, you'd very likely be offered a medication for those symptoms, right? So to take a supplement is, it's kind of that level down where we, in a good way, that we can actually do these things instead of the medications a lot of the time. Yet we have to provide those nutrients in high enough therapeutic doses so that we're meeting your child's deep needs and actually correcting deep deficiencies that maybe have been affecting them their whole lives and affecting their development. So that's always the goal. So that's my main answer to can I just rely on diet, or do I have to do the supplements? And it's always going to be based on the specific family and specific child. But I hope that sheds some greater light on why we use supplements. Obviously, if we're thinking more purist, wouldn't it be amazing if our foods were as nutrient dense as they were last century or a couple centuries ago? Our soils are depleted. There's a whole other whack of things we could talk about in terms of the industrialization of our agriculture and how that's impacted our food systems and the nutrient density of the actual foods, so that sometimes I see people with even what seems like the perfect diet, and yet they have functional deficiencies. Doesn't make sense, right? So then we have to investigate further, and we absolutely need the supplements in many of the cases that I see for that reason, along with other reasons. Okay, that's all I'll say about that for now. I hope that was helpful. And so stay tuned for our next monthly Q&A. Thanks for joining me.